Kamagu Ase, Kings and Queens of Africa. I want just to tell you that I've received all your questions about Umhlonyane. I want us to discuss some of those questions about Umhlonyane. I know some of you are getting sick from Umhlonyane, and I know many of you, you've been receiving guidance from different sources, really wanting to know how to use umhlonyana. Others, you had to go through maybe diarrhea before you can really go out there and try to find out more about how umhlonyana works. First of all, I would like to tell you something. I would like all of us to understand that traditional herbs, they are used for different things in a different way, in a different ways. So for an example, we can use umhlonyana for cleansing, which is cleansing the system, colon cleansing, and umhlonyana also play a big part in blood purification. Umhlonyana, we use it a lot for viruses, different viruses, and getting rid of the mucus and the inflammation. So many tribes all over Africa, they've been using umhlonyana for centuries, which is wormwood. Umhlonyana is wormwood. Others, they know it as lingala, if I'm correct. But Umhlonyana is known in African continent, the whole African continent. It's one of our powerful herbs that we use after weed. So you can use umhlonyana before you dry it, or you just use it raw, like a raw herb, green herb, for cleansing. When it's green, it has a laxative effect in it, so you can use it for cleansing. But in this case of COVID-19 and corona, it is very important that you dry it before, and you don't, I know many tribes, they used to boil it. Others, they never boiled it. There is nothing wrong with how you used to use umhlonyana. Just understand, what are we using umhlonyana for right now? Because many of us, we used to use umhlonyana for cleansing, and now we want to use umhlonyana the same way we used to use it for cleansing, and therefore many of us are having diarrhea, loose tummy, pains, headaches, nausea. So there's just a lot that we're going through, because not that it is wrong to use umhlonyana, but our intentions right now, as we want to use it as a prevention for corona. Not that you can prevent corona, but you're trying to make sure that your system is free of inflammation and mucus, and it's clean, so that if in fact maybe anywhere along the time, and you find yourself like getting contracting the virus, your system at least can be able to fight for you, because we need to understand that this is a immunity battle. We need to understand this is an immunity battle. It is very important that we understand that. So that means even if we use umhlonyana, we still need to strengthen our immunity, so that when that virus get into our system, our immunity is able to fight successfully for us. Now we need to also understand that as much as you want to prevent, you don't want to weaken your system, your immunity, because now if you're using umhlonyana as a laxative, as cleansing, that will cause you your body to dehydrate. You will dehydrate, and you will experience different symptoms of dehydration. So you will have to also, many, I know, I have noticed that we are using umhlonyana like coffee, big cups. that also trigger diarrhea and headaches and all of that, because now you're having too much in your system, and that's a very, very strong herb to have it so much in your system. Now for prevention, I will advise that you dry your Umhlonyane first and make it dry, and don't boil it. You boil water first, and then you put Umhlonyane in there and let it cool down. Not only cool down, let it be very, very cold before you use it. And don't use it as a cup, use a spoon, especially those that are suffering from chronic underlying conditions like high blood pressure, uh, diabetes, and that are using those that are using ARVs. Sorry about that, and those that yeah, that are in chronic medication, because remember, as it's a blood purifier, it will cleanse your blood. That means you will lose those pills in your body, so they won't be working, and you might get sick. So you can't have it a lot in your system. Also, I will advise consult your doctor to see if you are even strong enough to for your body to carry that herb. But I guess it will be safe if you just use a spoon. All of us, we just use a spoon a prevention. Just make sure it's concentrated. That means, for an example, you boil liter of water and put a handful of your Umhlonyane and let it simmer there. You don't boil Umhlonyane. You boil water and put Umhlonyane later after you have boiled your water, and let it cool down, and drink it when it's cold. Use a spoon. And then if it happens that you already contracted, or maybe later you contracted the virus, then maybe you can use a quarter of that, maybe a half a cup or glass of Umhlonyane, because now you need a lot in your system, and you also need to cleanse at that moment when you're having maybe suffering from that or sick from that. But you also need to make sure, because when you cleanse now, you dehydrate. You need to hydrate yourself by drinking a lot of liquids. Healthy liquids, I'll recommend more water in your body. So to avoid all of that, let's decrease the amount we consume of Umhlonyane. That's where all the problem comes. Let's not use Umhlonyane raw. Like we can use it raw, but let us dry it. Don't use it green. Dry it first before using it. I guess many of you will recover from what you are suffering from. But if you continue and you find out that you are really not recovering, it just affects you in many ways, I will recommend you stop, and you use that mixture I gave you, which is you mix garlic, you mix ginger, you mix turmeric, you mix get that if you are following me in my page, which is Fundiswa Lutizokofa, or Divine Insight with Fundizokofa, there is that list of mixture and how to mix it and use it. And I really want to stress that you really need to strengthen your immunity, even if you're going to use Umhlonyane. Make sure your immune system is optimized so it can be able to fight for you. Always remember, I repeat, this is a battle of immunity. You can't fight this with only Umhlonyane. You have to optimize your immunity and get it strong and strengthened before you, if it happens that maybe you get the a virus, as it's spreading so fast, then you know that you have more chances of surviving it because of your immunity. I would like to thank you very much for your time. And before I leave you, I would like to say, those that were fermenting, continue to ferment. It is very important to consume fermented drinks, and It doesn't matter what fermented drink you have. Others, they were using apples, they fermented apples. Others were fermenting pineapple and all that. Others were just using our traditional amacheu. Use all those fermenting food. They are very good for your gut lining. So continue to ferment. Thank you very much for your time, queens and kings on